The smell of burnt coffee and disappointment filled my kitchen as I stared at Caroline's empty chair. 43 years old today, and my wife couldn't even pretend to care about sharing breakfast on my birthday. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, Eli Brooks, the guy who fixed everyone else's broken appliances, unable to repair his own broken marriage. "Happy birthday to me," I muttered, scraping congealed eggs into the garbage disposal. The sound it made, grinding up my pathetic attempt at celebration, seemed fitting. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. Caroline breezed in, wearing that designer dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. The one she claimed made her feel confident and beautiful. Apparently, it also made her feel like she could stomp all over her husband's feelings. "Oh, Eli, about tonight," she said, not even looking at me as she grabbed her purse. "I can't make it to your birthday dinner. Derek's going to be at the restaurant with some clients, and you know how awkward that would be." Derek. Her ex-boyfriend from college who'd mysteriously reappeared in our lives 6 months ago. The same Derek she'd sworn she'd blocked on social media after I'd expressed my concerns about their friendship. "You mean the Derek you promised me you'd cut contact with?" I asked, keeping my voice level. 20 years of marriage had taught me that raising my voice with Caroline only gave her ammunition to paint me as the unreasonable one. She rolled her eyes, that practiced expression of exasperation she'd perfected over the years. "God, Eli, you're so paranoid. He's just a friend. Besides, I already told Miranda I'd meet her for drinks tonight. Girls' night, you know?" Miranda. Caroline's oldest friend and enabler, who'd never liked me from day one. The woman who'd convinced Caroline that marriage was about maintaining your independence and not letting your husband control you. "Right," I said. "Girls' night. On my birthday. Don't be so dramatic. We can celebrate tomorrow night instead." She kissed my cheek with all the warmth of a business transaction. "I've got to run. Big presentation today." As her heels clicked across our hardwood floors I'd refinished myself last summer while she'd been working late more and more often, I felt something cold settle in my chest. It wasn't anger exactly, it was recognition. The kind of clarity that comes when you finally admit what you've been trying not to see. I walked to my workshop in the garage, where I'd planned to spend the morning before our dinner reservation. The familiar smell of motor oil and metal shavings usually calmed me, but today everything felt different. Sharper, more focused. My phone buzzed. Lenny, my part-time assistant at the repair shop. "Hey boss, happy birthday. You still coming in today, or are you taking the day off to celebrate with the missus?" "Change of plans," I told him. "Caroline's busy tonight. Mind if I swing by the shop? Got nothing else to do." "Course, man. That sucks, though. Want me to grab some beers? We can close early and have our own party." Lenny was 25, still believed in things like loyalty and keeping your word. I envied him that innocence. "Actually, Lenny, can you do me a favor? You know that place Caroline likes? The Lakeside Grill? Drive by there around 7 tonight. Just curious about something." Sure, boss. Everything okay?" "Probably not, but it will be." I spent the day at Brooks Electronics, fixing other people's problems. A coffee maker that wouldn't brew, a laptop that wouldn't boot, a television that displayed everything in green. Simple problems with simple solutions. Not like marriages, where the problems were complex and the solutions involved lawyers and divided assets. Around 6:30, I was closing up when Lenny called. "Boss, you're not gonna like this." I already knew I wouldn't. "Tell me." "Your wife's here at the Lakeside. But she ain't with Miranda. She's with some slick-looking dude in an expensive suit. They're holding hands across the table. Real cozy-like." Derek. Of course it was Derek. "They see you?" "Nah, I'm parked across the street." "You want me to get pictures?" "No, thanks, Lenny. I'll handle it from here." But I didn't handle it. Not yet. Instead, I drove home and did something I'd never done in 20 years of marriage. I looked through Caroline's laptop. She'd left it open on the kitchen counter, probably in her rush to get ready for her girls' night. The password was still our anniversary date. Either she was sloppy or she wanted to get caught. Part of me hoped it was the latter. At least that would mean she felt guilty about something. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. A folder labeled Travel Plans contained photos that made my stomach turn. Caroline and Derek at various restaurants around town. Caroline and Derek at some cabin I didn't recognize. Caroline and Derek in bed together, her wearing lingerie I'd never seen before. The timestamps on the photos went back 3 months. 3 months of lies, 3 months of working late, and girls' nights, and you're being paranoid, Eli. But it was the text messages that really drove the knife home. Derek: can't wait to get you alone this weekend. Tell the husband you're visiting your sister. Caroline: already handled. He's so clueless it's almost sad. Sometimes I wonder what I ever saw in him. Derek: soon you won't have to wonder anymore. Just a little longer and we can make this official. I know. I just need to figure out the best way to handle the divorce. My lawyer says if I can prove he's emotionally abusive, I'll get more in the settlement. Derek: is he abusive? Caroline: he will be by the time I'm done. I took screenshots of everything. 20 years of marriage, and she was planning to destroy me for a man she'd been screwing for 3 months. A man who probably saw her as nothing more than a convenient midlife crisis. My phone rang. Caroline: hey honey, just wanted to let you know I'll be late tonight. Miranda's having some drama with her boyfriend and needs to talk. Sure thing, I said, my voice steady. Take your time. I've got plenty to keep me busy. You're not mad about dinner, are you? We'll do something special tomorrow, I promise. Promises. From a woman who'd been lying to me for months while planning to frame me as an abuser in divorce court. I'm not mad, Caroline. I'm just disappointed. Aw, don't be like that. You know I love you, right? Yeah, I said, staring at the photos on her laptop screen. I know exactly how much you love me. After she hung up, I sat in our kitchen for a long time, thinking. Caroline thought I was clueless. Derek thought I was a pushover. Miranda thought I was beneath her friend's notice. Hell, maybe the whole town thought I was just another middle-aged guy too stupid to see what was happening under his own nose. They were all about to learn how wrong they were. I packed a bag and drove to the Sleepy Inn, a motel near my shop. The desk clerk, a kid named Tommy who'd graduated with Linny, recognized me. Hey, Mr. Brooks, you fixing the ice machine again? Something like that, I said. I need a room for a few days, maybe longer. Everything okay at home? It will be. The next morning, I called in sick to my own shop for the first time in 5 years. Lenny could handle the simple repairs, and I had more important work to do. The kind of work that required patience, planning, and a thorough understanding of my target's weaknesses. My first stop was Maggie's Tavern, the kind of dive bar where the coffee was strong, the gossip was stronger, and the bartender had been serving the same crowd for 20 years. Maggie O'Sullivan knew everyone's business in town, and she wasn't shy about sharing it with the right people. Well, well, she said, as I slid onto a bar stool at 10 in the morning. If it isn't the birthday boy, shouldn't you be at work? Took the day off. Caroline and I are having some issues. Maggie poured me coffee without being asked. She was 60-something, had survived 3 divorces, and had no patience for cheating spouses of either gender. Issues, huh? That wouldn't have anything to do with her and that real estate hotshot Derek Foster, would it? So it wasn't just Lenny who'd noticed. You know about that? Honey, everyone knows about that, except you, apparently. She leaned across the bar, lowering her voice. They've been carrying on for months. Real sloppy about it, too. Acting like teenagers at the grocery store, holding hands at the movie theater. Your wife ain't as smart as she thinks she is. What else do people know? That she's been telling folks you're controlling and paranoid. Miranda's been spreading that story all over town, painting you as some kind of jealous monster. Of course, most people with half a brain can see through that nonsense. You're many things, Eli Brooks, but abusive ain't one of them. The pieces were falling into place. Caroline wasn't just cheating. She was systematically destroying my reputation to set up her divorce narrative. The emotionally abusive husband who couldn't handle his wife having male friends. Maggie, hypothetically speaking, if someone wanted to make sure the truth came out about a situation like this, how would they go about it? She grinned, showing teeth stained by 40 years of coffee and cigarettes. Hypothetically, I'd say that someone should fight fire with fire. Caroline's been playing dirty for months. Time to show her what dirty really looks like. I spent the rest of the morning driving around town, getting a feel for Derek's routine. His real estate office was in the trendy part of downtown, all glass and chrome and motivational posters about closing the deal. His car was a red BMW convertible with vanity plates that read, "Sold It," the kind of car that screamed insecurity and midlife crisis. Around noon, I parked across from his office and waited, Sure enough, Caroline's silver Lexus pulled up at 12:15. She practically skipped into his office, and 20 minutes later, they emerged together, heading to lunch at the same restaurant where they'd been last night. I followed at a distance, taking photos with my phone. Nothing illegal, nothing invasive, just documenting their public displays of affection. The kind of evidence that would be useful if Caroline tried to claim their relationship started after our separation. While they were having lunch, I drove to Derek's apartment complex. He lived in Harborview Towers, the most expensive building in town, the kind of place that charged extra for the privilege of looking down on everyone else. The parking garage was open to residents and visitors, no security cameras that I could see. Derek's BMW was parked in spot 47, probably assigned to his unit. I didn't touch the car, that would come later. But I did notice something interesting. The spot next to his was empty, but there were oil stains on the concrete. Fresh oil stains. Someone had been parking there regularly. Someone with a car that leaked. Caroline's Lexus had a slow oil leak that she'd been ignoring for months, despite my offers to fix it. My phone rang. Lenny. Boss, you feeling better? Got a couple repairs that might need your touch. I'll be there in an hour. Hey Lenny, you still got that buddy who works at the cell phone store? The one who helped us recover those photos from Mrs. Henderson's water-damaged phone? Yeah, Jake. Why? Might need his help with the data recovery project. Completely legal, of course. Of course. Jake's good people. Discreet, too. Perfect. Set up a meeting for tomorrow. I spent the afternoon at the shop, going through the motions of fixing other people's problems while my mind worked on the bigger puzzle. Caroline thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. She was about to learn that I'd been studying the board a lot longer than she realized. Around 5, I got a text from Caroline. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. I texted back. No problem. Love you. The lies came so easily now. But then I'd learned from the best. Instead of going back to the motel, I drove to the Lakeside Grill and waited in the parking lot. Sure enough, Caroline and Derek showed up at 7, holding hands like lovesick teenagers. They requested a table on the patio, probably thinking they were being romantic. I called Maggie. You busy tonight? Never too busy for drama. What do you need? Feel like having dinner at the lakeside? My treat. Oh, this is going to be good. Maggie arrived 20 minutes later, dressed in her best going-to-church outfit. We got a table inside with a clear view of the patio. Caroline and Derek were so wrapped up in each other, they never noticed us. Look at them, Maggie said, cutting into her steak, acting like they invented adultery. Your wife's got some nerve, I'll give her that. She always has. I just never saw it as clearly before. So what's the plan? You gonna confront them? Eventually. But not here, not like this. Caroline's expecting me to be the jealous husband who makes a scene in public. That just plays into her narrative about me being unstable. Smart. So what then? I'm going to give her exactly what she wants, a divorce, but not on her terms. Maggie raised her wine glass. To justice served cold, ice cold. We finished dinner and left before Caroline and Derek. I drove Maggie back to her bar, then returned to my motel room to plan my next moves. I had evidence of the affair, but that was just the beginning. If Caroline wanted to play dirty, I was going to show her what dirty really looked like. My laptop was old but functional, and the motel's Wi-Fi was surprisingly decent. I created a new email account and started documenting everything I'd learned. Photos, timestamps, witness accounts, screenshots of Caroline's messages. Then I did something that felt both liberating and terrifying. I changed all the passwords on our joint accounts. Bank accounts, credit cards, utilities, streaming services, everything. Caroline had been so confident in my cluelessness that she'd never bothered to set up her own access to our financial accounts. That was about to become a problem for her. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Joel from Caroline's office. We met at the Christmas party last year. Can we talk? It's about your wife. Interesting. Joel was Caroline's coworker, a quiet guy who'd always seemed uncomfortable around her. I'd assumed he was just shy, but maybe there was more to it. I texted back. Sure. When and where? Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Coffee shop on Main Street. Come alone. The plot was thickening. Caroline thought she had all the angles covered, but it seemed like her web of lies was starting to unravel. People were choosing sides. and not everyone was choosing hers. I fell asleep that night with a smile on my face for the first time in months. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting. Joel Hendricks was already waiting when I arrived at the coffee shop, hunched over a large black coffee like a man who hadn't slept in days. He was younger than me, maybe 35, with the kind of nervous energy that came from carrying secrets. "Thanks for meeting me," he said as I sat down. I wasn't sure if I should get involved, but after what I heard yesterday. "What did you hear?" Joel looked around the nearly empty coffee shop, then leaned forward. "Caroline's been telling everyone at work that you're abusive. She's got this whole story about how you monitor her phone, control her money, threaten her friends. She even showed up to work with a bruise on her arm last week, claiming you grabbed her." My blood went cold. I've never laid a hand on her. "I know, that's why I'm here." Joel pulled out his phone. I saw her give herself that bruise. She was in the supply room, banging her arm against the metal shelving. When she came out, she was crying and talking about how she needed to document everything for her lawyer. "You recorded this?" "Security camera caught it. I'm the office IT guy, so I have access to all the footage. I made a copy before anyone else could see it." Joel slid a flash drive across the table. "There's more. Phone records showing she's been calling Derek Foster dozens of times a day. Email chains about meeting at hotels. She's been using the company computer for personal stuff, and she's not smart enough to clear her browser history." I pocketed the flash drive, feeling like I'd just been handed a winning lottery ticket. "Why are you helping me?" "Because Caroline's a manipulative witch who's been making my life hell for 2 years. Joel's quiet demeanor cracked, revealing genuine anger. "She got me written up last month for inappropriate comments after I wouldn't cover for her when she left early to meet Derek. She's been trying to get me fired ever since." "What do you want in return?" "Nothing. Just the satisfaction of watching her get what's coming to her." He stood up, leaving money on the table. "Be careful, Eli. She's more dangerous than you think, and she's got Miranda convinced that you're planning to hurt her." After Joel left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, processing what I'd learned. Caroline wasn't just cheating and lying. She was actively framing me for domestic abuse. The bruise on her arm, the stories about my controlling behavior, the careful documentation of my threats. It was all part of a calculated plan to destroy me in divorce court. But now I had evidence of her deception. More than that, I had allies, people who'd seen through her act and were willing to help expose the truth. My phone rang. Caroline. "Eli, where are you? I came home and your stuff is gone." "I'm staying at the motel for a few days. Thought we both could use some space." "Space? What are you talking about? And why can't I access our bank accounts? The website says my password is wrong." "I changed the passwords. For security reasons." There was a long pause. When Caroline spoke again, her voice was different, harder. "Eli, what's going on? You're scaring me." "I'm scaring you? That's interesting, considering you've been telling people I'm abusive." Another pause. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't, just like you don't know anything about Derek Foster." "Derek is just a friend. I can't help it if you're too insecure to..." "Cut the shit, Caroline. I know about the affair. I know about the hotels, the photos, the plans to divorce me. I know about you giving yourself that bruise to frame me for domestic violence." Silence. Then, quietly, "Prove it." "I will. In court, in front of everyone who matters. You wanted to play games, Caroline? Game on." I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anticipation. For months I'd been playing defense, reacting to Caroline's moves, trying to save a marriage that was already ended. Now I was playing offense, and it felt incredible. My next stop was the Harborview Towers. I wanted to get a better look at Derek's setup, maybe gather some intelligence about his routine. The parking garage was busier during the day, with residents coming and going, but no one paid attention to another middle-aged guy in work clothes. Derek's BMW was gone, but Caroline's Lexus was parked in the adjacent spot. The oil stain was definitely from her car. I could see fresh drops on the concrete. She was spending her days at his apartment while I was at work, playing house with her boyfriend. I took photos of the oil stains, the parking spots, the building directory that showed Derek Foster in Unit 4B, all evidence that would support the timeline of their affair. On my way out, I ran into Mrs. Harper, our elderly neighbor from 3 streets over. She was carrying groceries and struggling with the heavy bags. "Eli!" What are you doing here? Just visiting a friend, I said, taking her bags. Let me help you with these. You're such a sweetheart. Caroline's lucky to have you. She paused at the elevator. Although, between you and me, I've been worried about her lately. She seems different. Different how? Well, I saw her here last week, and she was with some man I didn't recognize. Very handsome, very well dressed. They were quite affectionate. Mrs. Harper lowered her voice. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but it didn't look like a business meeting. You're not speaking out of turn, Mrs. Harper. Thank you for telling me. Marriage is hard work, Eli, but it's worth fighting for if both people are willing to try. Yes, ma'am. It is, but some marriages weren't worth fighting for. Some marriages were worth ending properly, with dignity and truth on your side. I spent the rest of the day at the shop, working on repairs and thinking about my next moves. Lenny had set up a meeting with Jake, his friend from the cell phone store, for that evening. If Jake was as good as Lenny claimed, he might be able to help me recover some deleted messages from Caroline's old phone, the one she'd accidentally dropped last month and replaced immediately. Around 6, Caroline started calling. I let it go to voicemail. She called 5 more times, each message more frantic than the last. Eli, we need to talk. This is crazy. I love you. Please call me back. I know we can work this out. I'm coming to the shop. We're going to settle this. Miranda thinks I should call the police. She says you're having some kind of breakdown.
Fine. Don't call me back, but you're making a huge mistake.
The last message was different. Colder. More like the real Caroline. I tried to do this the easy way, Eli. But if you want to make this difficult, I can play that game too. You have no idea what you're up against. Actually, I was starting to get a pretty good idea, and Caroline was about to learn that she'd seriously underestimated her opponent. Jake turned out to be a skinny kid with thick glasses and an impressive knowledge of data recovery. He examined Caroline's damaged phone under a magnifying glass, poking at the circuit board with tiny tools. Water damage, but not too bad, he said. The memory chip is intact. I can probably recover most of the data, but it'll take a day or two. What kind of data are we talking about? Text messages, photos, call logs, app data, basically everything that was on the phone when it got wet. Jake looked up from his work. This is legal, right? I mean, it's your wife's phone? Completely legal. We're married, and I'm paying for the phone service. I just need to recover some family photos that were lost when the phone was damaged. Family photos, right. Jake didn't look convinced, but he didn't ask any more questions. I'll call you when it's ready. I left the phone with Jake and drove back to the motel. Caroline's car was in the parking lot, and she was sitting on the steps outside my room, looking small and vulnerable. The performance was impressive. If I didn't know better, I might have felt sorry for her. Eli, please, can we just talk? We can talk, but not here. I gestured toward the diner across the street. Public place, neutral ground. She nodded, wiping away tears that may or may not have been real. The diner was busy enough to provide cover for our conversation, but quiet enough that we could hear each other. Caroline ordered coffee she didn't drink and stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. I don't understand what's happening, she said. Yesterday we were married, and today you're treating me like the enemy. Yesterday I was ignorant. Today I'm informed. Big difference. Informed about what? That I have male friends? That I sometimes need space from our marriage? Informed that you've been sleeping with Derek Foster for 3 months while planning to frame me for domestic abuse in divorce court. Caroline's mask slipped for just a moment, and I saw the real her underneath. Cold, calculating, caught but not repentant. You can't prove any of that. I can prove all of it. Photos, messages, witness statements, security footage. You've been sloppy, Caroline. Or maybe you wanted to get caught. What do you want? Money? I'll give you half of everything. More than half. I don't want your money. I want the truth to come out. I want everyone who heard your lies about me to know what kind of person you really are. Caroline leaned back in her booth, and when she spoke again, her voice was pure venom. You think you're so smart, don't you? The clever little repairman who figured out his wife's secret. But you have no idea what you're dealing with. I will destroy you, Eli. I'll make sure everyone in this town knows what a pathetic, controlling loser you are. When I'm done with you, You won't have a business, you won't have friends, you won't have anything. Is that a threat? It's a promise. She stood up and walked out of the diner, leaving me with the check and a crystal clear understanding of what I was up against. Caroline wasn't just unfaithful. She was malicious. She wanted to hurt me, to punish me for the crime of discovering her betrayal. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She thought I was the same passive, accommodating husband I'd been for 20 years. She thought I'd roll over and let her destroy me rather than fight back. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The next morning brought the first salvo in Caroline's campaign to destroy me. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages from friends, family, and customers. The gist was the same. Caroline had been calling people all night, crying and claiming I'd threatened her, stolen her money, and was having a mental breakdown. The most concerning message was from Officer Tom Rankin, an old high school friend who joined the police force after graduation. Eli, I got a call from your wife last night. She's claiming you threatened her, and she's afraid for her safety. I know you, and this doesn't sound right, but I have to follow up. Can you come by the station this morning, just to talk? So Caroline was escalating to involve law enforcement. Smart move. If she could get me arrested for domestic violence, even if the charges were later dropped, it would support her narrative and give her leverage in divorce proceedings. I called Tom back while driving to the police station. Tom, it's Eli. I got your message. Hey man, thanks for calling back. Look, I don't know what's going on between you and Caroline, but she was pretty upset last night. Said you've been acting erratic, making threats, controlling her finances. Tom, I've never threatened my wife. Never. But I did discover she's been having an affair. And I did change our account passwords to protect our assets during what's obviously going to be a divorce. Shit, really? An affair? 3 months with Derek Foster, the real estate guy. I've got evidence. Photos, messages, witness statements. Caroline's been planning this divorce for months, and part of her strategy involves painting me as abusive. There was a long pause. You got proof of that? I do, and I'll share it with you when I come in if that's okay. I want this all documented properly. Yeah, absolutely. Eli, I'm sorry, man. I had to follow up on her complaint, but between you and me, something felt off about her story. Caroline's always been dramatic. Tom was being diplomatic. Caroline had never liked his wife, and she'd made that clear at every social gathering for the past decade. She thought she was better than Tom's family, better than most people in town. The police station was busy for a Thursday morning, but Tom met me in the lobby and led me to a small conference room. I brought copies of everything: the photos, the text messages Joel had given me, the security footage of Caroline giving herself the bruise. Tom reviewed the evidence with growing amazement. Jesus, Eli. She really did a number on you. The question is, what can you do about it? She filed a false police report, and she's been telling people I'm abusive when she knows it's not true. Filing a false report is a misdemeanor, but it's hard to prove unless she admits it was false. The defamation stuff is more of a civil matter. Tom leaned back in his chair. But I can document everything you've shown me, and if she tries to escalate this, claims you actually hit her or threatened her directly, we'll have evidence that she's been manufacturing a narrative. That's something, at least. More than something. Look, Eli, I've seen this before. Messy divorces where one spouse tries to gain advantage by claiming abuse. Usually the truth comes out eventually, but it can take time and do a lot of damage in the meantime. What would you do if you were me? Tom considered the question carefully. I'd document everything. Every interaction, every conversation, every lie she tells. And I'd be very careful not to give her any ammunition to use against me. No angry confrontations, no heated arguments. Nothing she can twist into evidence of aggressive behavior. What about her reputation? She's been trashing mine all over town. That's where you have an advantage. Most people in this town know you, Eli. You've been fixing their appliances for 15 years. You're fair and honest, you don't cause drama. Caroline, well, let's just say she's made some enemies over the years. Tom was right. Caroline had always been condescending to people she considered beneath her social status. Shop clerks, waitresses, repair technicians, anyone in a service job. She'd burned bridges all over town with her entitled attitude. One more thing, Tom said as I prepared to leave. Watch your back. If Caroline's as calculating as this evidence suggests, She's not going to give up easy. She might try to provoke you into doing something stupid. I'll be careful. Good. And Eli? I'm sorry this is happening to you. You deserve better. From the police station, I drove to my shop. There were 3 customers waiting outside. Word was getting around that I might be unstable, and people were concerned about the repairs. I opened up and spent the morning reassuring customers that I was fine, their appliances were safe, and the rumors they'd heard were part of a messy divorce situation. Most people were understanding. A few seemed disappointed that there wasn't more drama to gossip about. Around noon, Lenny pulled me aside. Boss, we got a problem. Derek Foster's been calling around town, telling people you threatened him and his property. Says you're dangerous, and people should be careful about doing business with you. Did he file a police report? Don't think so, but he's definitely trying to hurt your reputation. So Derek was joining Caroline's campaign. That made sense. They were in this together now, and my destruction would benefit both of them. Lenny, I need you to do something for me. You know people all over town, right? From high school, from the bar scene, from your other jobs? Sure, boss. I get around. I need you to spread the word about what's really going on. Caroline's been cheating with Derek for months, and now they're trying to destroy my reputation to cover their tracks. Don't make it sound like gossip. Make it sound like you're concerned about people being manipulated. I can do that. People don't like being lied to, especially by rich folks who think they're better than everyone else. Exactly. And Lenny, be careful. Caroline and Derek are going to fight dirty, and I don't want you getting caught in the crossfire. Don't worry about me, boss. I can handle myself. That afternoon, Jake called. Caroline's phone data was ready. You're going to want to see this, he said when I arrived at his shop. Your wife was a busy lady. The recovered data was damning. Text messages between Caroline and Derek going back 4 months, discussing their affair, their plans for the future, and their strategy for handling me. Photos of them together at various locations around town and beyond. Most shocking of all, a series of messages between Caroline and Miranda about building a case against me. Caroline, I need more evidence of his controlling behavior. The lawyer says emotional abuse is harder to prove than physical. Miranda, what about the money thing? Doesn't he handle all your finances? Caroline, that's normal though. Lots of husbands manage the money. I need something more dramatic. Miranda, you could record him yelling at you. Get him angry and then record his reaction. Caroline, good idea. Or maybe document some bruises. Who's to say where they came from? The messages painted a clear picture of premeditated fraud. Caroline and Miranda had been planning to frame me for domestic abuse for weeks before Caroline ever gave herself that bruise at work. Jake, I need copies of all of this. Multiple copies on different formats. Already done. I figured this was important. He handed me several flash drives and a thick folder of printed messages. Eli, I don't know your wife, but based on these messages, she's seriously messed up. Yeah, I'm starting to realize that. I spent the evening at the motel, organizing all my evidence into a comprehensive file. Photos, messages, witness statements, police reports, security footage. I had enough material to not only defend myself, but to completely destroy Caroline's credibility. The question was how to use it most effectively. My phone rang around 9. Tom Rankin. Eli, you need to know that Caroline filed another report tonight. Claims you broke into Derek Foster's apartment and vandalized his car. I've been at my motel all evening. I can prove it. The desk clerk saw me. I ordered room service. I've got receipts. Good. Because Derek's BMW got keyed pretty bad, and someone put sugar in his gas tank. He's claiming it was you. It wasn't me, but I can't say I'm sorry it happened. Tom chuckled. Yeah, well, between you and me, Derek Foster's had it coming for a long time. Guy's a sleazeball who's been cheating clients and sleeping with married women for years. But officially, I have to investigate. Investigate away. You'll find I had nothing to do with it. I believe you. But Eli, this proves my point about Caroline escalating things. She's trying to make you look unstable and violent. Don't give her any ammunition. After Tom hung up, I sat on my motel bed and thought about Derek's vandalized car. I genuinely hadn't done it, but I had a pretty good idea who might have. Lenny had been spreading the word about Caroline and Derek's affair. And Derek wasn't popular in town to begin with. It could have been any number of people who decided to send him a message. Or it could have been Caroline herself, creating more evidence of my supposedly violent behavior. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stop trying to destroy my life, or you'll regret it. This is your only warning." Derek, trying to sound tough, I screenshotted the message and added it to my evidence file. Threatening messages were a crime, and Derek was apparently too stupid to realize he was creating evidence of his own bad behavior. I texted back, "I'm not trying to destroy your life, Derek. I'm just telling the truth about it. There's a difference." His response came immediately. "The truth according to a pathetic loser who can't satisfy his own wife." Another screenshot for the evidence file. Derek was making this easy. "The truth according to security cameras, phone records, and witness statements. But thanks for the threatening messages. My lawyer's going to love those." Derek didn't respond after that. Apparently, he'd realized that taunting me via text message wasn't the smartest strategy. But Caroline wasn't done for the night. Around 11, she showed up at the motel with Miranda in tow, both of them clearly drunk and looking for a confrontation. I watched from my window as they stumbled around the parking lot, looking for my room number. Caroline was crying and yelling, putting on a show for anyone who might be watching. "Eli! I know you're here! We need to talk!" Miranda was trying to calm her down, but she was just as drunk and just as loud. "Come on, Caroline. Let's go." "He's obviously not here. He's here. His truck is here. Eli, stop being a coward and face me." I called Tom Rankin. "Tom, Caroline and Miranda are at my motel, drunk and causing a scene. I'm staying in my room, but I wanted you to know in case someone calls in a disturbance. I'll send a patrol car over. Don't engage with them, Eli. Let us handle it. That's the plan." The patrol car arrived 10 minutes later, and I watched through my window as the officer, someone I didn't recognize, talked to Caroline and Miranda. Caroline was gesturing wildly, probably spinning some story about how I was hiding from her and refusing to discuss our marriage. After a few minutes, the officer escorted both women to Miranda's car and watched them drive away. Then he knocked on my door. "Mr. Brooks?" Officer Martinez. "I understand you're having some domestic issues." "Yes, sir. My wife and I are separated, and she's been dramatic about it. She claims you're avoiding service of divorce papers and refusing to communicate about your marriage." "Officer, I've been staying at this motel for 3 days. If someone wants to serve me papers, I'm not hard to find, and I'm happy to communicate about our marriage in a lawyer's office with proper representation." Martinez nodded. "That sounds reasonable. Your wife seemed pretty upset, but she also seemed pretty drunk. I told her to go home and handle this through proper legal channels." "Thank you, officer." "No problem. Just try to keep the drama to a minimum, okay? We've got enough real crime to deal with." After Martinez left, I sat on my bed and realized that the war Caroline had declared was just getting started. She was going to keep escalating, keep trying to provoke me into doing something stupid that would support her narrative about my abusive and unstable behavior. But I wasn't the same man she'd been married to for 20 years. That man would have tried to reason with her, would have bent over backward to avoid conflict, would have let her walk all over him in the name of keeping the peace. This man was done keeping the peace. This man was ready to fight back with everything he had. And Caroline was about to learn that when you corner a man who has nothing left to lose, you'd better be prepared for the consequences. Friday morning brought news that changed everything. I was having coffee at the diner when Maggie O'Sullivan slid into the booth across from me, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "You're gonna love this," she said, pulling out her phone. "Remember how I told you everyone in town knows about Caroline and Derek? Well, someone decided to make sure everyone really knows." She showed me a Facebook post that had been shared dozens of times overnight. It was a compilation of photos showing Caroline and Derek together at various locations around town, with timestamps proving the affair had been going on for months. The caption read, "When your girl's night out includes Derek Foster." Poor Eli Brooks deserves better than this. Who posted this? Anonymous account, but it's been shared all over town. Caroline's getting roasted in the comments. People are pissed that she's been lying about you being abusive when she's the one who's been cheating. I scrolled through the comments, amazed at the outpouring of support. People I barely knew were defending me and calling out Caroline's behavior. The narrative she'd been trying to create was crumbling in real time. There's more, Maggie said. Derek's real estate office got about 50 phone calls yesterday from people canceling listings and appointments. Turns out people don't want to do business with a home wrecker. What about Caroline's job? That's the best part. Her boss called her in for a meeting this morning. Apparently, someone sent them security footage of her giving herself that bruise, plus copies of all those text messages about framing you for abuse, Joel. He'd followed through on his promise to expose Caroline's lies. I made a mental note to thank him properly. My phone rang. Caroline, of course. Eli, we need to meet. Right now. This has gone too far. I'm listening. Someone's been spreading lies about me all over social media. People are calling me names, threatening me. My boss is talking about firing me. You have to make it stop. I have to make it stop. Caroline, I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't call your boss. I didn't force you to have an affair or fake domestic violence. You did all of that yourself. It was you! You or one of your friends. This is harassment, and I'm going to press charges. Go ahead. Press charges against everyone in town who shared those photos. Sue the internet. See how that works out for you. Meet me at the house in 1 hour, or I'm calling my lawyer. Call your lawyer, but if you want to meet, we do it at the lawyer's office, with proper representation. I'm done with private conversations that you can twist into evidence of threatening behavior. She hung up on me, but I knew she'd call back. Caroline was used to getting her way through manipulation and emotional blackmail. She was discovering that those tactics no longer worked on me. I spent the morning at my shop, catching up on repairs and fielding calls from customers who wanted to express their support. Word had spread quickly about Caroline's deception, and public opinion was firmly on my side. Around noon, Lenny burst through the door with news. Boss, you gotta see this. Derek Foster just got arrested. Arrested? For what? Tax evasion. Apparently, he's been hiding income from real estate deals for years. The IRS raided his office this morning and found evidence of fraud going back to 2019. This was unexpected, but welcome news. Derek's legal troubles would distract him from his campaign against me, and might even implicate Caroline if she'd been involved in his financial schemes. How do you know all this? My cousin works at the courthouse, says Derek's looking at serious federal charges, could be prison time. Caroline's boyfriend was facing federal prosecution, her job was in jeopardy, her reputation was destroyed. The perfect life she'd been planning was falling apart, and she was desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. My phone rang. Tom Rankin. Eli, I need to give you a heads up. Caroline just filed for a restraining order against you. Claims you've been stalking her and threatening her through intermediaries. That's bullshit, Tom. I haven't been anywhere near her. I know, but she's got a hearing scheduled for Monday morning, and if the judge grants it, you'll be legally required to stay away from her and your own house. Can she do that? Temporarily, yeah. Restraining orders are easy to get and hard to fight, but the good news is that you'll get a chance to present your evidence at the hearing. Bring everything you've got. The photos, the messages, the security footage. Show the judge what she's really been up to. I will, thanks for the warning. No problem, and Eli, be extra careful this weekend. Don't go anywhere near Caroline or your house. Don't give her any excuse to claim you violated the temporary order. After Tom hung up, I realized Caroline was making her final play. If she could get a restraining order, she could claim the house, control the narrative, and portray herself as the victim of an abusive husband. It was actually a smart strategy. If she could convince a judge that I was dangerous, all her other lies would seem more credible. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She thought I was still the passive, accommodating husband who would roll over rather than fight back publicly. She didn't realize that I'd been documenting everything, building a case, preparing for exactly this kind of escalation. Monday's hearing was going to be very interesting. I spent the weekend organizing my evidence and preparing my testimony. I had photos, text messages, security footage, witness statements, and police reports. Enough material to not only defend against Caroline's restraining order, but to expose her entire campaign of lies. Sunday evening, I got a call from Joel. Eli, I thought you should know that Caroline cleaned out her office on Friday, took everything personal, and deleted files from her computer. Did she quit? Fired. The security footage of her faking that bruise was the last straw. But before she left, she was making copies of client files and contact information. I think she's planning something. Like what? I don't know, but she was asking a lot of questions about the company's social media accounts and client database. She might be planning to sabotage the business on her way out. Caroline was scorching the earth, burning bridges and destroying relationships rather than accepting responsibility for her actions. It was exactly what I'd expect from someone who'd spent months planning to frame her husband for domestic abuse. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, matching my mood as I drove to the courthouse. I barely slept, running through possible scenarios and preparing for Caroline's lies. But I was ready. More than ready. I was eager to finally tell my side of the story. The hearing was in a small courtroom, with just a few spectators. Caroline sat at one table with a lawyer I didn't recognize, looking pale but determined. I sat at another table with my evidence files, representing myself. Judge Patricia Coleman was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who'd been handling domestic cases for decades. She'd seen every kind of manipulation and deception, and she had a reputation for cutting through bullshit to get to the truth. Caroline's lawyer spoke first, painting a picture of an abusive husband who'd become increasingly controlling and threatening as their marriage deteriorated. He presented Caroline's testimony about my, quote, erratic behavior, the changed passwords, the, quote, stalking and, quote, harassment through social media. Caroline took the stand and delivered an Oscar-worthy performance, complete with tears and trembling voice as she described her fear of my violent tendencies and obsessive behavior. Then it was my turn. I presented the evidence methodically, piece by piece. The photos of Caroline and Derek together, with timestamps proving the affair had been ongoing for months. The text messages discussing their plans to frame me for abuse. The security footage of Caroline giving herself the bruise she'd claimed I inflicted. Judge Coleman examined each piece of evidence carefully, asking pointed questions about authenticity and chain of custody. She was particularly interested in the text messages between Caroline and Miranda about building a case against me. "Mrs. Brooks," she said finally, "do you recognize these text messages?" Caroline's lawyer objected, but Judge Coleman overruled him. "Yes, Your Honor, but they're taken out of context. I was just what? Just discussing how to manufacture evidence of domestic abuse against your husband." Caroline's composure cracked. "He was controlling me. He changed all our passwords. He was monitoring my activities. Because you were having an affair and planning to divorce him while claiming he was abusive. According to this evidence, you were planning to defraud him in divorce proceedings." The hearing lasted 3 hours. When it was over, Judge Coleman not only denied Caroline's request for a restraining order, but referred the matter to the district attorney's office for possible prosecution for filing false reports and perjury. Caroline left the courthouse in tears, her lawyer looking embarrassed and angry. I left with a sense of vindication I hadn't felt in months. But the war wasn't over yet. Tuesday morning brought the final act of Caroline's destruction, though it wasn't anything I had planned or orchestrated. Sometimes justice delivers itself. I was opening my shop when Tom Rankin called with news that made my day. "Eli, you're going to want to sit down for this. Caroline and Derek got arrested last night." "Both of them? For what?" "Insurance fraud. Remember that cabin Derek's been using for his romantic getaways? Turns out it belongs to one of his real estate clients, an elderly woman who's been in a nursing home for 2 years. Derek's been using it without permission and filed a fraudulent insurance claim when it got damaged in a storm last month. How does Caroline fit into this? She was with him when he filed the claim, posed as the property owner, and signed the paperwork. Federal crime, since it involved mail fraud and wire fraud across state lines. I sat down heavily in my desk chair, amazed at the scope of Caroline and Derek's stupidity. They'd been so focused on destroying me that they'd gotten sloppy with their other criminal activities. What kind of charges are they looking at? Derek's already facing tax evasion charges, and now this. He's looking at serious prison time. Caroline's charges are less severe, but she's still looking at felony fraud. Her lawyer's probably going to try to plea bargain, claim she was manipulated by Derek. Manipulated, right, because Caroline's such an innocent victim. Yeah, well, good luck selling that story to a jury after what came out in yesterday's hearing. Judge Coleman's report is going to be part of the case file, including all that evidence about Caroline faking domestic violence. After Tom hung up, I sat in my shop and tried to process what had happened. In less than a week, Caroline had lost her job, her reputation, her boyfriend, and her freedom. The perfect life she'd been planning had turned into a nightmare of her own making. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt empty. 20 years of marriage, reduced to criminal charges and public humiliation. Lenny arrived with coffee and donuts, grinning like he'd won the lottery. "Boss, did you hear? Caroline and Derek got arrested. It's all over town. People are saying Derek's been running scams for years, and Caroline was helping him." I heard. "You don't look happy about it." "I'm not unhappy. It's just complicated. That's my wife, you know? Even after everything she did, it's hard to watch her destroy herself like this." Lenny studied my face. "You still love her." "I love the woman I thought she was. The woman I married 20 years ago. But that woman probably never existed. Caroline's been lying and manipulating people her whole life. I was just too blind to see it." The day passed quietly. A few customers came in with repairs, and several people stopped by just to express their support and share gossip about Caroline and Derek's arrests. By closing time, I was exhausted from fielding questions and pretending to be okay with my wife's public downfall. I was locking up when Miranda appeared in my parking lot, looking haggard and desperate. "Eli, we need to talk." "I don't think that's a good idea, Miranda. You've been helping Caroline lie about me for months. I know, and I'm sorry. But you have to understand, Caroline's sick. She's been lying to me too, manipulating me just like she manipulated you." "What do you want?" "She's going to prison, Eli. Her lawyer says she's looking at 2 to 5 years, maybe more if they can prove she was involved in Derek's other schemes. She's broke, her family won't talk to her, and she's got nobody left. That's not my problem anymore. She wants to see you, to apologize, to try to make things right." I looked at Miranda, really looked at her for the first time in years. She was scared and guilt-ridden, finally realizing that she'd been enabling a sociopath. "Miranda, Caroline doesn't want to apologize. She wants to manipulate me one more time, to see if she can get me to help her, or forgive her, or provide her with some kind of support. That's what she does. That's what she's always done. But what if she really is sorry? What if she's finally ready to tell the truth about everything? Then she can tell it to her lawyer, or to a judge, or to a therapist. But she can't tell it to me. I'm done being her victim." Miranda started crying. "I'm so sorry, Eli. I believed her stories about you being controlling and abusive. I thought I was helping a friend escape a bad marriage. You were helping a friend destroy an innocent man's life. There's a difference. I know that now. Is there anything I can do to make it right? You can tell the truth. If anyone asks you about Caroline's lies, you tell them the truth. That's all I want from anyone, just the truth." Miranda nodded and walked back to her car, leaving me alone in the parking lot of my shop, the place where I'd built my reputation over 15 years of honest work, the reputation Caroline had tried to destroy with her lies. But I was still standing. My business was intact, my friends and customers supported me, and the truth had finally come out. Caroline's campaign to destroy me had backfired spectacularly, destroying her instead. Wednesday morning brought a call from Caroline's lawyer, requesting a meeting to discuss potential reconciliation and mutual support during this difficult time. I declined politely and referred him to my own attorney. Yes, I'd finally hired one too, handled the divorce proceedings. Thursday brought news that Derek had agreed to a plea bargain, admitting to multiple counts of fraud in exchange for a reduced sentence. His cooperation would likely implicate Caroline in additional crimes, making her legal situation even worse. Friday brought the final piece of the puzzle. Joel called to tell me that Caroline's former employer was pressing charges for theft of proprietary information and attempted sabotage of client relationships. She'd been trying to steal their client database to start her own competing business, apparently planning to fund her legal defense by poaching their customers. "She never stops, does she?" Joel said. "Even when she's facing prison time, she's still trying to scam people. That's Caroline. She thinks the rules don't apply to her, that she can lie and cheat her way out of any situation. Well, she's about to learn different. Her arraignment is next week, and word is the prosecutor's not interested in plea bargains. They want to make an example of her." That weekend, I finally went back to my house. Caroline's belongings were gone, either taken by her or removed by the police as evidence. The place felt empty but peaceful, like a weight had been lifted. I walked through the rooms we'd shared for so many years, remembering the good times before I'd learned they were all built on lies. The kitchen, where Caroline had kissed me goodbye each morning, while planning to betray me. The bedroom where she'd slept beside me while texting her lover. The living room where she'd practiced her lies about my abusive behavior. But those memories had no power over me anymore. Caroline was facing years in prison for her crimes. Derek was ruined professionally and financially. Miranda was consumed with guilt over her role in their deception. Everyone who'd participated in the campaign to destroy me had been destroyed themselves. I didn't plan it that way. I'd simply defended myself by telling the truth, and the truth had been powerful enough to bring down all of Caroline's lies. Monday morning, I opened my shop as usual. The phone was ringing with customers who needed repairs. People who trusted me to fix their problems, honestly and competently. The work that had sustained me through 20 years of marriage would sustain me through whatever came next. Lenny arrived with the morning's gossip. Caroline's arraignment had been moved up. Derek was cooperating with federal investigators. Miranda was seeing a therapist to deal with her guilt over enabling Caroline's lies. Boss, you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't found out about the affair? If Caroline had gotten away with her plan? I considered the question while replacing a circuit board in Mrs. Patterson's microwave. I'd probably be in jail right now, or at least facing charges for domestic violence I never committed. Caroline would have gotten the house, the business, everything we built together. Derek would have moved in, and they'd be living my life while I rotted in prison. That's scary, man. She really had it all planned out. She did. But she made one crucial mistake. What's that? She underestimated me. She thought I was the same passive, accommodating guy she'd been married to for 20 years. She didn't realize that discovering her betrayal would change me, make me willing to fight back. So what now? You gonna start dating again? Try to find someone who won't try to frame you for domestic violence. I laughed. The first genuine laugh I'd had in months. I think I'm going to focus on myself for a while. Fix my own life before I try to share it with someone else. That's probably smart. You deserve better than Caroline, boss. Way better. Yeah, I do, and now I know it. The bell above my door chimed, and Tom Rankin walked in, looking official in his police uniform. Eli, got a minute? Sure, what's up? Caroline's sentencing hearing is next month. The prosecutor wants to know if you're planning to give a victim impact statement. I thought about it. Standing up in court, telling a judge how Caroline's lies had affected me, watching her face as I described the pain and humiliation she'd caused. No, I said finally. I've said everything I need to say. Caroline's actions speak louder than any statement I could make. Tom nodded approvingly. Probably the right call. She's looking at 3 to 7 years anyway. Your statement wouldn't change that. 3 to 7 years? Multiple felony counts, plus the perjury charges from your restraining order hearing. She's going away for a long time, Eli. After Tom left, I went back to work, but I couldn't stop thinking about Caroline spending the next several years in prison. The woman who'd been worried about her image, her reputation, her social status, locked up with actual criminals. But I couldn't feel sorry for her. She'd made her choices, committed her crimes, hurt innocent people in pursuit of her selfish goals. The consequences were entirely of her own making. That evening, I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching the sunset over the town where I'd lived my entire adult life. The place where Caroline had tried to destroy me, where her lies had been exposed, where justice had ultimately prevailed. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Caroline. I'm sorry for everything. I know you'll never forgive me, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. Caroline had had 20 years to be honest with me, to treat me with respect, to be the partner I'd deserved. She'd chosen lies, betrayal, and cruelty instead. Now she was sorry. Too little, too late. I finished my beer and went inside, locking the door behind me. Tomorrow would bring new customers, new problems to solve, new opportunities to help people and build something positive. Caroline's chapter of my life was over. Whatever came next would be built on truth, integrity, and the hard-won knowledge that I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. The underdog had won. And it felt pretty damn good. Be 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 damn